Pranam, Partho. Pranam. So, Partho, welcome to the next podcast on Mahavakyas of Gita. So, we had discussed last time the Mahavakya, which goes like this in English, that when Sri Krishna says to Arjuna, see me in everything, I am in everything,
Yes.
I am everything. And you had also briefly mentioned the Mahavakya that we're going to cover afterwards, which is today, is around the be my-minded.
Yes. So, man, the two are connected.
So, would love you to talk about this Mahavakya, which is a very supreme in its own way.
This is the way of bhakti that Sri Krishna is opening up to Arjuna. He's already said that see me in everything and everything in me. That this universe, this world, your life in it, the self, these are all Sri Krishna's manifestations. And the great secret is to know everything and everyone as Sri Krishna, to know everything is in Sri Krishna and Sri Krishna is in everything. So that's a great learning, as I said last time. So it's one of the great mysteries and secrets that Sri Krishna reveals through the Gita. And then, of course, the whole question arises, how does one do that? How do I see Krishna everywhere? And so this next Mahavakya we'll take up is another very important clue, another very important key to unlocking this mystery, to touching Sri Krishna somewhere within ourselves. How to do that? So I had referred to it last time, Manmana Bhava Madhubhakto. So, Manmana Bhava Madhubhakto, Madhyaji Mam Namaskuru. Manmana Bhava, be my-minded. Manmana Bhava. Me, my-minded. My-minded is, let your mind be one with me. Have me as the basis and the background of your mind. Sri Krishna as the background of my mind. Sri Krishna as the basis of my mind, the foundation of my mind. Let the mind merge with Sri Krishna. Initially, of course, since we do not have a direct realization of Sri Krishna, this merging will be more of remembering Sri Krishna, of invoking him in the mind with the buddhi. With all our consciousness, with the will in the mind, we invoke Sri Krishna, we remember Sri Krishna, we offer everything that we do to Sri Krishna, which is what Sri Krishna is saying here. Manmana bhava madhubhakto, madhyaji mam namaskuru. Be my-minded, be my lover, my devotee, the one who adores me, madhubhakto. Madhyaji Mam Namaskuru. Madhyaji Mam Namaskuru. So, to me, make your sacrifice. We'll later talk about the sacrifice. The sacrifice or yajna is a very important, is one of the fundamental ideas or concepts of the Gita. So, what Sri Krishna is saying is, make your sacrifice to me, sacrifice yourself to me. Your whole being and consciousness and life and actions, everything is a sacrifice to the Lord. And surrender to Krishna, bow to him in that devotion and with that knowledge that he is all. So, Madhyaji Mam Namaskaru. And then he assures Arjuna, Mam evashyasi yukta vevam atmanam mat parayana. What that means is, if you do this, if you become one in your mind with me, and if you bring all the devotion of your heart to me, and if you make your whole life and being a sacrifice to me, then surely you will come to me. In that devotion, with that self-giving to Sri Krishna, with the soul fixed on Sri Krishna, intent on Sri Krishna, you will come to Sri Krishna. This is a very, I think, a master key to opening the locks, to opening the doors. Manmana bhava madhubhakto madhyaji mam namaskuru mame vaishyasi yuktavevam atmanam matparayana. Yes, by this complete self-giving, by merging of the mind in Sri Krishna, by filling the mind with Sri Krishna, so fusing it with Sri Krishna's thoughts and memory, remembering Sri Krishna all the time. When your mind becomes filled with Sri Krishna, his thoughts, his remembrance, almost as if you've come to a point where you can't say it's my mind anymore. So my mind is completely given to Sri Krishna. I've become one in my mind with him, and almost, like that complete self-giving in the mind, and that complete devotion, the self-giving in the heart to Sri Krishna. And then self-giving in life, whatever we are, whatever we do, all our actions, even the results of our actions, our intentions, our actions, the result of our actions, everything that we are and that we want to be, everything is given to Sri Krishna. In the deepest possible sacrifice of being to him. I would say a sacrifice of being and becoming. And then the assurance comes from him that you will surely come to me. Like last time he said that you will not be lost to me and I will not be lost to you. So now he's assuring Arjuna again that you will come to me if your mind, heart and soul are fixed on me. So this is the great learning of the Gita. An absolute, entire self-giving to Sri Krishna, whom we place in the inmost chamber of our being. We establish his altar in the heart. And then everything that we do, everything that we are, everything that we want to be, we turn towards that. Which we have placed in our hearts, the presence at least of the Supreme Being.
So beautiful and great master key, as you said. It's not very common in life that we find ways of connecting with the divine, but it's a beautiful thing that, just be in love with me, and you shall not be lost, or you'll.
So in this one sloka, if you notice, Sri Krishna brings together the mind, the heart, and action. Sacrifice of your whole life, of all your works, and with that devotion, So the mind filled with Sri Krishna, the heart devoted to Sri Krishna, and your whole life a sacrifice to Sri Krishna. So it's a convergence of the three streams of our being, Gyaan, Bhakti and Karma.
And one of the observation I was having when you were explaining this is the closest experience we humans, many of us may have had, is actually when we fall in love.
Yes.
Truly falling in love is when it becomes all about that one person.
Yes.
You want to just be that person, with that person. Yes. Whatever work you do, it goes away from your top priority of sorts to just something you have to do, and you keep doing it, but you're not
mind
attached.
Becomes suffused.
The focus of your mind, heart and body and being goes towards a person.
Yes.
And here it's and that's an experience many people would have had in their lives at some point.
So when people ask me, what does this exactly mean, man mana bhava, how does one come to that? So I always refer to this experience.
Yes.
Think of when you first fell in love and how your whole mind, your whole intellect was suffused with the presence and the feeling of love for the person, the object of your love.
That's just a beautiful analogy that people have experienced, and they can hopefully in this life or another will experience it when they will truly be in love with the divine and willing to surrender, give up everything to.
Many times I feel one of the deeper purposes of human love is to open the heart to the possibilities of divine love.
Yes.
Otherwise, how would one come to a true love and be the love for the divine? That again is a beautiful thing, how to integrate and use human love for raising your being to the possibility of divine love. Otherwise, it's difficult to come to it.
Yeah, you're right. And it's the human love gives the basis of this experience, which can eventually be extrapolated towards its real cause. But because otherwise, it's like
It also releases you from the hold of the ego. If the human love is genuine, that's actually the first liberation from the ego. The first time that you're not thinking of yourself, you're thinking of someone else. And that's a genuine selfless thinking of someone else. It's in a way, it's a sacrifice in the sense of the Gita.
And at that point, I think even if the other person does something which you otherwise may have not liked or accepted or appreciated, but in this case, you still accept everything beautifully, and so
because the ego is not holding you so strongly, so you're not judging all the time, you're not measuring all the time. So yes, these are the openings to the love that Sri Krishna is talking about.
So Sri Krishna says this to Arjuna, and obviously with the force and the impact that his statements have, Arjuna probably gets it most likely straight away. But for a sadhak who doesn't yet feel it from inside, until the person does feel it, as you said, until then just remember me when you're doing everything. So practically, sort of, you try to bring it from outside or somewhat, you try to bring it into your life by yourself, knowing what it may mean once you truly fall in love. But until you do, you just keep remembering, intellectualizing to an extent, trying to, just...
Yes. See, again, as I think we have discussed before, there are these two approaches. One is the intellectual approach, to understand the divine intellectually, to form a working idea, if I may say so, a working idea of the divine. To at least mentally, intellectually admire the divine, to allow the mind to be inspired by the divine, the qualities of the divine, using the mind to understand more and more of the ways of the divine through reading the scriptures, the mythologies. All that is one way, which is good, which is needed, I think. One way of coming to the yoga, to the divine, which is accessible to everyone. Because everyone, sooner or later, will find the right books, the scriptures, the stories, even if it's just the stories. Just listening to the Mahabharata will open you to that dimension. Just reading poetry and listening to songs will open you to that dimension. If you're ready for it, if your inner being is in some way prepared for it, ripe for it, then just listening to a song will open you to that possibility. That's the one way. The other way, which I find to be I call it the royal shortcut, that's falling in love with the divine. Then you don't need any knowledge, you don't need any reading, you don't need any intellectual appreciation, nothing. You just fall in love with the divine. Now, how that falling in love happens, there can be 101 ways. And, again, by listening to stories, and you can. I remember when I was very small, maybe 8 or 9 years old, my grandmother used to tell me stories about Sri Krishna. In Bengali, one of the names we use for Sri Krishna is Madhusudan. So she used to, every night she used to tell me a story about Madhusudan to put me to sleep. And I think those were my first brushes with the personality called Sri Krishna, my first glimpses of of the charm and the beauty and the love and the power of this being that people call Sri Krishna. So it must have somewhere seeped into the subconscious for it to blossom much later in life. So I think this happens to so many people. And this is the beauty of, grandmother's stories.
And the young, impressionable minds and beings.
Yes.
Because as we grow older, we add more filters, right?
Yes, a young, impressionable mind. And the most beautiful thing about it is no one's lecturing you. They're not reading out a religious scripture, not telling you that you should be that and you should be. Just a story. A story that I think every child would relate to, because this is a story about children and Sri Krishna's relationship with children. And also stories where Sri Krishna himself was a child. Deeply compelling power of mythology, of myth, of storytelling, which I think our present generation is lost to our present generation. In this day and age of digitization and that, the charm of listening to a living person who has that love and adoration for Krishna to tell you stories about Krishna, it's a different experience. And I wish it comes back to our children.
So until you fall in love, Gyaan and Bhakti Yoga will keep you going.
Well, falling in love is bhakti of the highest order. What is bhakti but falling in love with the divine? And can you really fall in love with the divine without a knowledge of the divine? Can you fall in love with anyone without knowing something about that person? Because you know something about that person and you love that, and a virtue, a quality, and an opening to that person. So Gyana comes with the bhakti, and when you love a person and you know the person that you love, I think wanting to serve that person is natural after that. So karma also follows. So I don't think you can separate bhakti from Gyaan and Gyaan from karma and bhakti from karma. Your karma becomes an expression of your bhakti. Your Gyana becomes an expression of your bhakti. Your bhakti becomes expression of your Gyana. Your karma becomes an expression of your Gyana and bhakti. So it's all very integral. And
Sure.
that's the beauty of the Gita. It's
Sure.
It's a synthesis.
Trying to say is that Gyaan is when you are becoming more aware of Sri Krishna by reading, by being curious, by becoming more aware of such a being. But Bhakti is more where you start with a faith.
No, the Gyaan is there again.
Yes.
Since you ask, there is the outer, the practical Gyaan. I would say the first, the intellectual knowledge and appreciation of Krishna. That comes to you from stories, from mythology, and once you're a bit more mature, from scriptures. But that is still knowledge of the mind, still intellectual Gyaan. After that comes the Gyaan of Anubhuti.
Experience.
You begin to experience, and experience opens you to a realization. So Anubhuti is experience and Anubhuti is realization. You begin to realize Sri Krishna within yourself. You begin to realize aspects of Sri Krishna. You begin to realize the many dimensions in which Sri Krishna exists with you. And that's the Gyaan that the yogis talk about. So it's not necessarily the Gyaan that you get from stories and books and listening to other people, though that's also very important in its place. But one has to evolve from that Gyaan to the Gyaan of experience and realization. And same for Bhakti. Bhakti also begins with an outer expression of devotion where, you probably make offerings to Krishna, you sing songs to Krishna, bhajans and,
Led by some faith of...
Yes, a kind of a religious faith, even a religious fervor, all that. But then that's still an outer expression. The true bhakti comes when you begin to feel Sri Krishna in your psychic being. Or you begin to feel Sri Krishna as your psychic being. You begin to feel Sri Krishna's presence within you instead of somewhere outside, out there. So Sri Krishna himself says that I reside in every heart as the Atma of every living being. Ahamatma sarva bhuta shayasthita. As the Atma, I reside, I dwell in every living being. So when you realize that as you go deeper within yourself, it's to Sri Krishna that you're going, because the self is Krishna. So that's the real bhakti. And the same for karma. We start with an outer action, dedication of our actions, of our work to Sri Krishna. Whatever I do for you, and try to do it as genuinely as possible. But the true karma comes when you begin to realize that it is Sri Krishna alone who's working through you. From this whole karta bhav, doer mentality, you come to the nimitta bhav. You begin to feel that I am an instrument only, a nimitta only. And it's Krishna who's using me as a nimitta. He does what has to be done through me. He thinks in me, speaks through me, acts through me. So when that sense begins to dawn on you, that you come to real karma. And that is when your whole being and becoming, everything that you are, that you express, that you do, becomes a living yagna for Sri Krishna. And into that yagna goes everything that you do and that you are. This is the concept, the idea of yagna in the Gita itself is very powerful. It's an ancient Vedic idea of yagna, the sacrifice of being itself to that which is the divine. So it's not a sacrifice where, the human understanding of sacrifice is you lose something when you sacrifice it for someone else. But here, this idea of sacrifice, the Vedic sacrifice, the sacrifice of the Gita, is you don't lose anything at all. In that sacrifice, you become much more than you would otherwise be. Because you're not giving to someone outside of you. You're giving to that which is your own highest and deepest expression. Your own highest and deepest manifestation. Ishvara within you. So when you sacrifice to Ishvara within you, when you give to the Ishvara within you, you grow by that giving. And if you think of a fire of the yagna and you pour ghee into it, the fire grows. So when you make a sacrifice of your being and your becoming in that fire of your being, which is the divine, then that flame, that presence, that manifestation grows in you.
So the only sacrifices of lack of knowledge or ego or things, that's the only thing we are letting go.
Obviously, you begin with sacrificing all those things that stand in the way. What
Ignorance.
we would call the lower nature, the lower prakriti, the ego and all its trappings, and the ego in the mind, the ego in the heart, and the prana, the ego in the body, the ego in your actions, all that has to be sacrificed. But then you come to the real sacrifice, which is sacrifice of your very existence, sacrifice of the life that you are, sacrifice of the consciousness that you are. That is the supreme sacrifice. And in the yoga of the Gita, nothing less is demanded than that supreme sacrifice. And that's what Sri Krishna, he holds Arjuna's hands and leads him to that final self-giving, sarva dharman parityaje mamekam sharanam vraja. That's the ultimate Mahavakya of the Gita. giving up all dharmas, everything that holds you together and makes you what you are and defines you to yourself, giving up everything, you come to me alone. Mamekam Sharanam Braja.
That's the same concept as Vedanta as well.
It is. I mean, the Bhagavad Gita is Vedanta. One of the fundamental articulations and expressions of Vedanta.
Yeah.
It's an Upanishad. It's called the Gita Upanishad. Upanishads, as you know, that's the Vedanta.
Sure. Beautiful, Partho, with that romantic, loving shloka of the divine, for the divine, by the divine. Let's end this podcast, and I look forward to...
Yes, and let's keep the mantra in our mind. Man mana bhava mad bhakto. Madhyaji mam namaskaru. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Partho.